ripped
Yeah,
as
he
shit.
was ripped. He was ripped, dude.
With that, welcome back to another season of Three Nap Gentlemen, the podcast, where three of the four hosts provide a refined and intellectual analysis of movies from our private collections, while one of us tries desperately to keep up. We'll let you decide which host is which, but for now, my name is Sean, and with me, as always, are my fellow lotus-eating Greek warriors, Jeremiah.
I will give you back your shame, yo. What up?
Right to the
Eat this now.
Eddie.
Don't look for gods in men. You'll always be disappointed.
Ooh.
And Brandon.
Then I defy the gods.
Yes, Brandon. You will be the one that would defy the gods.
I will defy the gods. Be treated. Treat others as you would be treated. Zeus's law.
That's Zeus's law.
Zeus's law. Zeus's law.
That's a drinking game right there. Every time they say Zeus's law in the movie, you take a shot.
As with every review we give, our goal is to answer one simple question. How many drinks does it take to get through the film that we just watched? Now, at the end of the podcast, we'll rate the film based on the scale of 0 to 5, with 0 being a perfect film that you could watch stone cold sober, and 5 being the sort of the film that makes you feel like you're eating ramen noodles and being turned into swine or being munched by a giant one-eyed creature, and his name is Nobody. One-Eye Willie. That's what his name is.
One-Eyed Willie. Son of
demon.
Poseidon. Son of Poseidon.
Well, tonight we're headed to the theater again with the newly released Christopher Nolan epic, The Odyssey. This film is the newest adaptation of the 2,800-year-old Homer-penned poem that sees the Greek hero King Odysseus returning home after the Trojan War. However, his journey is plagued by mythical beasts, his own hubris, and the evils of the world. All the while, his wife and son, Penelope and Telemachus, I always get that one wrong, respectively must
That's a hard one.
with the evils. I always used to listen, growing up, I called him Telemachus, and then I'm like, oh, fuck, it's Telemachus. So Telemachus.
You put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Telemachus. Who would have thought Telemachus, Telemachus?
Now I'm going to say that name all day.
I know, we're going to fuck up. Oh, God. All the while, those people are dealing with the evils of men as they vie for Odysseus' kingdom. Now, as of recording, which is actually opening weekend, The Odyssey has an IMDb rating of 8.4, a Rotten Tomatoes score of 95% with the critics, and a Rotten Tomatoes score of 97% with audiences. Now, that is not even to mention that it has a staggering $264 million opening weekend globally.
Woo woo.
Wow.
Very wild.
Aim big, get big.
It's Christopher Nolan, so.
Yeah. Spend a lot of money, have your
Eddie,
name stamp on it, you get money. All right. So tonight we're enjoying The Odyssey. The Odyssey is a bright, refreshing Greek-inspired cocktail made by the famous Guy Fieri. Guy Fieri.
Yep,
What's
Guy
his name?
Fieri.
All right. So the ingredients is vodka and some fresh lemon juice and simple syrup and English cucumber and a little bit of it looks good. Full ingredients and description of the cocktail can be found on our Instagram social media pages, including Instagram, Threads, YouTube, and TikTok, where you could also find out about past and upcoming episodes, movie posters, trailer clips, and more. This is called The Odyssey.
The Odyssey.
Shout out to Diner, Drive-Ins, and Dives. You know, what up, Power, yo? You know what I'm talking about, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Odyssey, bro. It looks really good with that cucumber.
All right,
was
so
fun.
this movie obviously had a lot of pressure on it. I feel like of all the Nolan movies, you know, as he progresses through his filmography, it keeps mounting. The pressure is mounting on him to produce something spectacular. And so going into this movie, I know we don't do this all the time, but I would like to get a little bit of your expectations and whether those expectations were met, and kind of what you had going into it. So why don't we start with you, Brandon? What did you have? What was your expectation?
So it's weird. I was not overly excited to see this movie for a couple of reasons. Number one, even though I'm a literature guy and I love literature and I teach literature and writing and things like that, The Odyssey has always been a poem and a story that I appreciate, but I don't like, if that makes sense. Like, importance wise on literature and history and society and culture, it's absolutely at the top, one of the most important things ever written. However, I just find it kind of a drag to get through as far as the story goes. And so that being said, the fact that it was a Christopher Nolan film, what I was excited about, and the only reason I was excited, is that I was expecting Nolan to do something that I think Nolan does best, which is to subvert expectations by going above and beyond and showing us something that we've never seen before. And for that, I was excited to go into the theater and watch it. And I don't mean it necessarily on a technical level, right? He is doing something we've never seen before with the 70 millimeter IMAX and shooting it completely on IMAX. But as far as the storytelling itself, I was expecting and looking forward to something brand new. And that's kind of why my excitement was there. Was that excitement carried through 3 hours of the film? Spoiler alert, no, it wasn't. And I think that's something that's going to definitely reflect my score, and we'll talk about it.
I was kind of scared with my expectation with this movie because it's like he was on the top. And when you're on the top, the only one thing you can do is kind of crash and burn and shit. When he said that the Odyssey was his next, project, I was like, fuck, you sure about that? Like, this is pretty big, dude. But a lot of ways I was kind of like a little happy moving forward when the story was coming out, because it's so rare to have epic films like this now being produced and being made. We used to have so many movies like this back in the day. And so for him to do this, and then when you hear like, how he was going to shoot it full on, like the whole movie in IMAX, you're just like, okay, this guy is going to swing big and he's going to go for it. And so when you hear something like that, you're like, okay, this guy is going to try to give you the greatest visual, like epic experience. And I'm like, fuck, Nolan, thank you so much for that. So I was kind of scared at first, but as the weeks and the years kind of went on, I'm like, this date was circled. You're just waiting for it, especially last year when it was announced it was going to be like shown in 7mm IMAX. It completely sold out yet last year. So the very first day. So you knew something big was on the horizon. So it felt like a part of pop culture and you just couldn't get away with it. So that's how I kind of felt the whole time. Go for it.
Jeremiah, I would say spot on. When I found out that this movie's coming out, I thought in my head, like, well, I'm really thankful that he's taking a stab at it. Like, if there was anyone to take a stab at this movie, it's him, right? So it's like, there's no one better to take the stab at this movie than Christopher Nolan. Like, so the story itself, I really think that way. Like, hey, look at his list. He's the guy to do this movie. If we're really, arguably could be one of the greatest directors of our generation of all time. He's up there with the greats. So it's like, all right, let's do this. I think it's a tough story. Like, there's so much to do in just, the movie is 3 hours long and it felt 3 hours long. Overall, though, to see how he's doing with the no CGI, like, that's ballsy, especially in this day and age. Like, come on, like, just a little bit. You want to just do a little bit of CGI? No, all right, we're going all no CGI. Okay, cool. So I was scared because I was like, I love all of his movies, like even his crappy movies that I'm like, oh, it's not my top overall. Like, they're still better than anything that's an average movie. Like, all his movies are always like above average movie. They're great movies. I was scared with the cast. I thought the cast was too much. I was like, hey, you know what? You have a lot of big names in this cast, and I thought maybe it might bite him in the butt.
Sean.
Yeah, so I grew up on Ulysses. Kirk Douglas was one of my favorite actors. I grew up on Jason and the Argonauts, and these are all kind of sword and sandal epic movies from the 1950s and 60s. And Ray Harryhausen had these great claymation versions of all these kind of characters. And I remember the Cyclops from Ulysses, which, by the way, is the same story. It's just the Latin instead of the Greek. Anyway. I remember. Thank you. My education pays off a little bit.
People know that. It's the same character.
So I was, and when I say that this movie I was expecting to be as good as Jason and the Argonauts, everybody looks at Jason and the Argonauts and kind of laughs at it now because it's such an old movie and the skeletons fight each. I don't know if anybody has seen that, but
in school,
that's a high bar for me. Like, Ray Harryhausen and that type of practical effects is a very, very high bar. I think you can watch Jason the Argonauts. I think you can watch Ulysses now, and they're beautiful. They're colorized. So going into this movie, I really was expecting something kind of different from Christopher Nolan, and I don't feel like I got much different than it was Christopher Nolan's version of those movies. That was really my biggest like we talked about expectation versus payoff. Visually, I was really hoping for something visually spectacular, and I kind of got muted colors. Everything felt muted. Like, it was beautiful, but it felt like it was very, very brown and blue and green and very pretty. But
going into it, before you watched the movie, how you were thinking it was gonna hit big or hit small? No, before you watched it.
No, I mean, it's a Christopher Nolan movie. I thought it would do fine. Christopher Nolan knows how to put a movie together. That's all there is to it. So yeah.
So I want to actually talk about that, because one of my biggest frustrations, and no, I'm not, as I mentioned before, I'm not a huge fan of the Odyssey. I know the Odyssey pretty well as far as the original text goes. at the same time, I'm not one to sit there and be like, oh, well, the Lotus Eaters and what's her name are different. I don't really care that they combined it, and I'll have Cersei and it's not Cersei. But that being said, what I thought was frustrating, and I understand what he was trying to do, is he's trying to tell a very, very human story. But the problem is, when you deal with Homer, when you're dealing with Greek mythology, you're dealing with human stories, but metaphorically, it's all gods and goddesses. And you know what? We got Athena in there. We got the Cyclops. We got the giants. We've got Circe. We've got, God damn it, whatever Charlize Theron's name is, because it's escaping me right now.
Cleo, was it? No.
Calypso.
Calypso. There we go, Calypso. We get the sirens. But here's the thing. I felt like we rushed through all of those different parts. And what I would have wanted was development of those portions of the story, which means that I wish that we had the Dune treatment. And I really, really mean this. I wish that we had gotten, if we're going to take this story, expand it, blow it up, make it 2 or even 3 movies, and really dive into whatever the story is going to be. Because didn't you feel like it was like, to me, they were going through and just checking the box and being like, okay, we got the Cyclops. Okay, we got the sirens. Okay, we got the, and to me, I want to explore that. I want to explore the world. And the problem is that in doing that, this is such a big, massive story in scope that we lost out on a lot of the human interaction that I think was necessary. And Eddie, we talked about this off mic a little bit, is that we didn't get any great moments. We had a couple. I'm not saying we didn't get any, but we didn't get enough great moments between great actors and actresses. We just missed out on the development. And I wish that we had done what Denis Villeneuve is doing with Dune. It doesn't have to be 3 movies, but make it 2.5 movies, right? And that was my biggest frustration.
Yeah, no, like Matt Damon and Tom Holland, right? Odysseus and his son. That was such a good scene when Tom Holland actually finds out, like, you're my dad. Like, when you saw him with Argos, like, you could tell, like, but like, I felt like there was so many extra moments there. Like, they could have like had a little bit more interaction. Just anytime I felt like any big actor or actress were together, it hit hard. Like Anne Hathaway with Matt Damon, that was legit. And Hathaway of Tom Holland, legit. Zendaya, beautiful. Jon Bernthal and Tom Holland, beautiful, like legit. But there wasn't enough of that. I felt like it was almost rushed. They put those little clips here and there. I was like, bro, let's like just hang out with them a little bit. Like I feel like I got a lot of Matt Damon's crew, his army, and I don't even know who they were.
I kind of saw it a little different here because I thought I saw the point of view from Odysseus. I thought that had a lot of reference to Memento, where you're just trying to have this guy putting the clues together of who he is and everything. And I actually really enjoyed that a lot, where he's trying to find his idea of like what happened here, his path of what brought him to that little destination, led him there, and I actually really appreciate that. The way how Nolan kind of edited it, I thought it was really awesome because you're kind of getting like different point of views on what happened, like, and this is from his point of view. It didn't really focus on the soldiers because, well, technically the story is not about the soldiers, it's about him, and him, what's going on, like, this is what happened here and this is what happened there, and this is what brought us over here. So I actually thought it was interesting seeing it from that point of view, where you're seeing a broken human being trying to put the pieces back together again. I actually thought that was pretty interesting.
I agree with that, Jeremiah. I'm saying that I saw too much of the soldiers, though. That's what I'm trying to say. Well, they were just always there in the background. I don't know. Sorry. I see what you're saying though.
I'm gonna explain that. So I agree that the structure of the delivery of the story, starting from essentially the last stop of the journey, getting caught with Calypso, and then reliving the past was really cool. And then you kind of caught up in the middle and then went to the end of the movie. I thought that was the structure was really cool, and I liked the discovery. I think what Eddie and I were kind of missing was, at least I think you could have added, you could have taken away a lot of the boat scenes, like just the wave scenes and a lot of the introspection, and you could have focused on 15 minutes of dialogue between Odysseus and his men to give us a good kaleidoscope image of what Odysseus or who Odysseus is. I think that the problem is exactly as you stated it, Jeremiah, is that we saw what happened along his journey. I would have liked a little bit of why it happened. I would have liked to see why he made the decisions that he made. And they were all based on the sacking of Troy and his guilt over breaking Zeus's law and essentially killing Athena, which they didn't, not physically killing Athena, but disgracing the god Athena, who then he carried with him as kind of a penance through his journey. The bones were here, and I don't know if Nolan just was a little too nuanced, or whether it would have just, I would have just liked a little bit of character building with Odysseus himself to know what type of person he was. You got that with personal life, but you didn't get it with soldier life.
But I think we did get that relationship with his men. His men did not really find him as a wonderful leader in a lot of ways. In fact, they didn't actually really trust him in a lot of ways. In this version of Odysseus, and I'm not an expert on this shit, but what I saw on the screen, he's flawed. He's kind of like an asshole in a lot of ways. Where he thinks he was better than most things. And so they saw him as this arrogant person that's leading him to like his own type of like a destiny of like gloriness, and then that's what I kind of thought I saw during the movie.
No,
it's just weird that
I agree with you. It was just it was just in conflict. Yeah, it was just in conflict with him being like the hero of Troy. So I had this image of Odysseus as the hero of Troy, and then his men did exactly as you described. They treated him like he was this arrogant, brash leader, and it's like, okay, so what happened? Why are we getting one story, but then his troops are thinking something else? I would have just connect the dots a little bit. That's all I was saying.
Before Brandon adds to that, and the reason why we do get these different point of views is because we get a different point of view of Odysseus. We get the soldiers' point of views where they sing and they praise what he did for Troy and everything like that. And then you get Jon's point of view where he's the smartest man. He's the one who actually win the war and everything like that. And then the end, which was really nice, that you actually get Odysseus' point of view. Just this pain that he's experienced. I think you get like this character arc from like what you saw in the beginning of all these different parts of these stories until what we got in the end. And I think that's why we have that point of view of the soldiers, is that everyone thinks that he's the greatest thing in the world and everything like that. But we kind of got a different side of it. So, I mean, that's what I thought I saw in that.
It was like I had to put my own pieces together with like Odysseus's with like, Like at the very end, it's like, okay, like he's obviously come to a moment here of like, hey, the people of the sea, that's my men and me. Like we're the ones going from village to village as we were lost and we were ravaging villages here. Cersei turned his pids into his men into pids, and technically they were pids. They were going village to village, killing people, and they were ravishing everyone. And they would hop back in the boat and go to the nets area. I enjoy that part where like, hey, I guess this is how I took it. I don't know about you guys, but I was like, I wish I just got more dialogue from somewhere. I don't know if it was from Matt Damon or somebody narrating the book, or someone like pretend like somebody's writing the diary.
So I'm not going to get all English teachery on anybody, but yeah, I mean we've touched on it, that this is such an allegorical, metaphorical, symbolic story where Cersei is representing, the animalistic qualities of the men. And the one thing though that I think we need to talk about as far as the original source text, and this is frustrating for anybody who does know the source text, is the fact that Odysseus is so far from the Matt Damon Hollywood superhero that we get with the character here. He is supposed to be somebody that we don't look up to. We're supposed to not like him. We're supposed to look at him and say, this is all about, because the Greeks, they love watching the great fall. We get that with the Odyssey, right? The original text is we get the Odyssey, we get Odysseus is a horrible shit of a person, right? He is not the Matt Damon with the brilliant, beautiful face that he has, Sean. And the problem, and I'm going to say the problem, and then I'm going to say a positive thing. So don't worry, I'm not just trying to attack. The problem is that we are given, I would say, conflicting understandings of the character. Is we don't like him, but then we like him because he's a Hollywood, hunk. And that's the problem. I wish that Nolan had gone a little more ballsy and said, we're going to take the text, at least the character of it, and make him the horrible reviler. We should see more from his men about how they hated him. And we aren't going to get that, right? We're not going to get that because it's Matt Damon up there. Now, that being said, I want to talk about two standout performances, one from a character or from an actor that I think is absolutely one of the most underrated actors in the history of acting, and one from a character or an actor who I've never liked, but god dang it, now I love. The first is Hamish Patel. I think that he is one of the greatest actors that we don't talk enough about. He is amazing. He is the right-hand man. He is the
right-hand man.
Beatles. film yesterday. He is brilliant in a TV show that nobody watched, which is unfortunate, called Station 11. He is one of, I think, the best actors out there, and he played his part beautifully. I wish that we had had more of his anger at Odysseus, though, because he has the acting chops to really carry those scenes. Another character that I do want to talk about, or actor I want to talk about, is John Leguizamo, an actor who I have never liked. But god dang it, I'm going to go back and just like, I might go back and watch Super Mario Brothers just to
don't do it.
All the
don't
do
it.
Age. You do Ice Age.
Do it.
I'll watch
Ice
Romeo
Age
plus Juliet. I'll watch Ice Age.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
That one's okay.
No,
I'm with you on Leguizamo. I think John Leguizamo. I think John Leguizamo. I don't care for him as an actor. I really don't care for him personally. But in this particular film, he was a standout, and not just a standout. He was probably the best performance in the movie. And Eddie said it earlier. I think that anytime you had dialogue between Anne Hathaway and Matt Damon, I think their chemistry and their back and forth was fantastic. She's another actress I'm not a huge fan of, but she was really
good in this movie.
And I thought Tom Holland stood out particularly wonderfully, which I don't think he's the greatest actor, but by God, he's got something. I think the actors that were completely wasted were Charlize Theron, who I think is fantastic, and I don't think that she had a great opportunity to shine. I think she did fine. The character, the interplay was fine, but I didn't feel any denouement. I didn't feel any resolution to that relationship. It was like, oh, I've kept you here for 7 years. You've eaten the lotus, and now it's time to go home. They
should have flipped her Cersei. Right, that would have been cool if she was Cersei. I could see her being that type of a witch.
Jeremiah, who played Cersei? Because Cersei was amazing.
Samantha Morton, it was unbelievable in this movie, and she definitely hold her own on this, And I will also say Robert Pattinson. Dude, that guy could play a sleazy motherfucker easily. I mean, he was pretty scary on that one. I think Zendaya was the harpy of the movie. I mean, she was just like this goddess soul, just like her presence. You just felt that.
Perfect.
And
she was perfect.
I don't know if people like this guy, but I think Matt Damon was really fucking good in this movie. That scene, after he gets through the sirens and he just explains what the songs and the words were, the way how you deliver it, that was the transition from I'm the greatest warrior in the world and here I am. I'm just this broken shell of a human being, knowing that you felt the pain of this guy throughout after that part. And I thought the way he handled himself in that movie I was like, fuck, Damon, where have you been for the last, 15 fucking years, dude? I mean, shit. About time, dude. So that's all I was going to say.
I want to add to that a little bit because I do think this was one of Matt Damon's best performances ever. However, I wish that we had had a little bit of desperation to get home from Odysseus. I felt like he was too certain that he was going to survive, and maybe that's because of the prophecy, and maybe there's some underlying things to that. But I felt like he wasn't He had no sense of urgency to get back to his wife. Every decision he made was not about getting back to Penelope. And I felt that in the film. Did anyone else feel that? Am I on the island alone? Or is that
for that reason? I want to jump on that real quick because I think that they do address that, though I agree 100% with what you're saying. They address it in a way of saying that he didn't want to go back to home because it would remind him so much of what he had missed.
And what he has done.
What he's done to get to there. And he says that in two different parts similarly. I think one is the spot that Jeremiah was talking about. And yes, as far as dialogue goes, it's perfect writing, which is him talking about the Song of the Sirens. The second one is when he's talking to Penelope at the end. And he's explaining that he didn't want to come back because, and this is where I think that we're missing some of the brash hubris of the original text, which is that he didn't want to come back and show his wife that he was no longer the man that she loved. And I think that is beautiful for Hollywood, but at the same time, it causes us to question his moral values when we have all this conflicting. Yeah, that's the problem. And that's the problem with it. And I do think, and I'm just going to say it, if we had two movies that were 2.5 to 3 hours long, and I would have been fine seeing 6 hours of this story. I think we could have drawn that out.
I think we misplayed with Jon Bernthal's character. Like, it was so beautiful when he came in there to help Tom Holland, and like, hey, I didn't know he was the brother of
Agamemnon.
Yeah, that was badass. But overall, it felt like, hey, he's in here and then he's out. And even like the bits and pieces with the Trojan horse, he was on there when they took Troy. I'm just saying it would have been nice to see a little bit more with him in there in the whole story of, I don't know, before, like, when they were leaving over back to home, right? Yeah, they're all teens on their way, but they all represent, like, they all talk to this guy first. So, but it would have been cool because he's the brother. It would have been cool, like Matt Damon and this guy, like, hey, see you back home, bro. Like, nice win. Like, hey, safe travels. It wasn't much talk. I like Robert Pattinson, Jeremiah. I agree with him. I think he was underplayed as a villain. I don't think I was like, is he bad? Is he just is he a scaredy cat? Is he really a villain? Like, what happened? Did he actually take his brother's piece and not his brother's piece? Why did he stay back? Why did he not? I was confused. At first I was like, he was just a bitch and he didn't want to fight. Like, but I was like, okay, well, like, I wanted more of his character, of what happened he went through.
To defend the story a little bit, though, and I think this is important, and it leads to a question or a rumor that I want to ask you guys about, that the Trojan War is essentially not really, it's not talked about in the Odyssey. That's all the Iliad. So the Iliad is the battle, and the Odyssey is the journey home, the voyage home. And so I can understand us not getting that, but I love that Agamemnon was this elusive character, but I wanted to see more about him. Like, it was like,
Darth
he
Vader,
was
dope. He looked dope.
And then I didn't even know it
was Darth Vader.
The fact that was Benny Safdie, I was like, holy fuck.
But correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon, is Achilles not the person? Cinna was the character that was, I think, used in this film, but Achilles is who he talks to in the underworld, not Paige, not Sinner.
I would say correct. Yeah, he does talk to Hercules, or not Hercules. He does talk to Achilles with that. I think that, and Sean, I know we can go into probably talking about Robert Pattinson's character a little bit here. I think that this part confused a hell of a lot of people that I know who've seen this movie, including the bloggers and TikTokers and other people, is exactly what happened with his character, with Robert Pattinson's character and Elliot Page's character, and who drew which lot and whatever it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
I think that even
I thought it was like Hunger Games, man. I thought Robert Pattinson was like, you got the short straw. I'm going to be like that's why I didn't think he was a villain, because I'm like, oh, he's like a hero. And then he was denied. I totally missed it. It's my fault. I fucked up.
Did originally he draw the bitch straw? Like, hey, he had to go, but he gave it to the brother to go.
No. Okay, so no, we understand. So here's the quick story. You have Robert Pattinson's character draws the straw to say he's going to war. Okay, and then you see Cinna, who pulls it and sees that he's not going to war. Pattinson's character says basically, hey, take my spot and I am going to stay here and I'm going to protect your dad, because they're not brothers, they're separate people. And says basically, I'm going to protect your dad and keep him safe. And then you go off and fight in the war. And so he does that. Basically, he does that. Odysseus gives his approval for it all, basically saying that hey, you know what? You're a decent human being. You can take a look and watch after my son Telemachus. Yeah, I got it right that time. And you can just keep an eye on him and protect the realm. Well, of course, he's a shit person, so he doesn't protect the realm, and he ends up just wanting to get kind of hunger greed with everything. And so Cinna, that's the whole thing. Is that Cinna basically says, you knew exactly what you're getting into. You got out of it. Fuck you. And he gets his comeuppance at the end, which is good. But Sean.
Pretty much, yeah.
So he was a bitch.
He was a bitch.
Say that, getting into the Robert Pattinson performance, I thought he pulled a Hunger Games type of situation, and Odysseus was like, no, that's not how we play the game. You are going to be here. It's just as honorable. You're going to stay behind and watch this, your father, and protect my son. So I fundamentally did not understand that scene or had a problem with that scene, and that's a viewer error. I made it error. But what happened was it threw the whole predicate of the story off for me with regard to Robert Pattinson, because I was like, oh, he knows Odysseus is dead. Odysseus has been gone for 20 fucking years. I understand he's trying to get with Penelope, but he's trying to save Ithaca. Ithaca needs a king. They need to move on. They can't just wait forever. So I'm like, yeah, he saved Tom Holland. I'm like, this dude, and then he puts the dog outside, but that was to save face. He didn't kill the dog, and I'm like, no, but no, but this is but you understand where I'm coming from, because I'm watching the movie going, okay, he's kind of a shitty person, but he's not evil. And then as he reveals himself, I'm like, oh, he's a stupid coward. And then all of a sudden we get the Cinna scene, and I'm like, okay, I missed something. Something is wrong here.
Right off the bat, I was just like, look at this little finger motherfucker here, okay? So slimy going in and shit. Dude, I just knew for a fact. I'm like, and Robert Pattinson, he plays slimy people very, very well. If you haven't seen this great movie called The King with Timothée Chalamet, he plays a prince, I don't know, France or something like that. And he is so just wicked and he's slimy. I mean, I'm just like, dude, I do too. He's on a run.
I think he would have been an amazing Odysseus, personally. I think he would have been a better Odysseus in my eyes, because Matt Damon's too big. Because you want Odysseus to be like cocky, like, and Mr. Know-All, and then I just feel like Robert Pattinson would have been a equal, but not like, I don't know. It could have been what if. Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. Bro. Like, it's like, it's hard to like go, oh, that's fucking Matt Damon. It's hard to take him out of the fucking character. You're like, it's Matt Damon. I guess from my understanding of what Brandon says and Sean says, and even what Hannah was saying, like, the Odyssey is a big fucking thing. It's a big thing, and I'm kind of glad that some way, like, Christopher Nolan was like, we're going to get all these big fucking actors and do this movie. We're going to swing for the fence on that. And there's a little kind of part right there. I'm like, I really appreciate that a lot.
Before Brandon talks shit, though, I will say this, that oh God, I lost my thought. One of the problems with Matt Damon in that character is, as opposed to like Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer, is that Cillian Murphy was unknown enough or unrecognizable enough where it didn't take you out of the character. And I think what Eddie is saying is, Matt Damon takes you out of the character of Odysseus because he's fucking Matt Damon. I understand swinging for the fence. Yep. I understand it's a big movie, but like, if it's a Ray Fiennes, or if it's someone who
Christian Bale
disappear,
with Prestige.
Yeah, Christian Bale. Actually, Christian Bale would have been my first choice, because Christian Bale kind of disappears a little bit. Matt Damon is always going to be Matt Damon.
Christian Bale's pretty big, dude.
On the Prestige.
No, he disappears into his role, Jeremiah. Yeah. He becomes a different character. So
I've always said this about Tom Cruise, is that I always see Tom Cruise.
Tom Hanks, same thing.
I do think that Matt Damon was able to dip into this character a little bit more. But my talk shit moment, I do want to talk shit, and Jeremiah, this is not at anybody except for Chris Nolan and the casting director, is where the fuck was
Cillian Murphy?
Cillian Murphy
retired,
right? Where are our guys that we have gotten used to?
Michael Caine retired.
No, he would have come back. No, he would have come back if he had said, "You're going to be a senator."
They tried. Michael Caine retired. Michael Caine retired, and Cillian Murphy was doing Peaky Blinders. He could not.
Don't give a shit. He couldn't get him back.
Could not do it.
You get him back.
What about the music? The music hits hard. Do you guys like the music or no?
So Jared, you go first on this one, buddy, and then Sean, you get the other side.
I was really shocked that we were split on this, man. This was so fucking epic with the music. When you get the battle between going into Troy and then sneaking out, you felt the beat going in and ending. You're just like, oh my God, you felt like you're marching into that castle, that town. But in the same time, there was like this innocent, beautiful piece when you see Matt Damon and Anne Hathaway's character, the romantic vibe, and they have like this old sound of a old instrument they're using. Guitar, you felt the pain and you felt the love, like the perfect balance between what you had on the screen. It was so epic, and I wouldn't be surprised if he wins Ludwig, if he wins another Oscar for this. I thought it was really great.
Can I ask you a serious question? Compare this to Interstellar and tell me that this was as good as Interstellar.
Well, I mean this in a nice way. Interstellar has been with me for 10 years, like I've lived with that soundtrack, When I first heard it, I thought it was amazing. Don't get me wrong, But there's
how about
something.
Oppenheimer? Oppenheimer came out right away, and it instantly.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
Oppenheimer-
this is Oppenheimer.
Different type of movie,
Yeah.
cause different type of music. I am definitely on Jeremiah's ship with this one, no pun intended. There's two sequences
My ship's good.
where literally the music escalates. It's not really escalating. It's a trick of the ear, but it sounds like it's escalating. And I gotta be honest, like it becomes psychologically damaging to watch this and have the tone feel like it's rising to the point where we can't take it anymore. And it makes us feel confined, and it makes us feel like we're going a little bit out of our mind, and it makes us feel like we just want something to happen. And they use it twice. And within that twice, yeah, we have these slower moments, but there's two portions where I feel like I have never been so enraptured by a scene because of the music. Now, I also want to talk about the portion where they time it up beautifully to the bow strike, and this is right when
Oh,
That
that's
was
so dope.
impressive.
Yeah.
That was great. That was great.
like that, and the way
And you
that
see
that
Anne
built
Hathaway just
into it.
like.
And this is not music, and then I do want to hear Ed and Sean, but this is not music, but this is sound. And this is when they put the wax in their ears, and you have
I was about to say that.
half the
Good
theater
job.
goes silent, and then they put the other wax in, and the other half of the theater goes silent. I gotta be honest, guys, that one made me smile and go, holy fuck, this is a movie moment right here.
Did they do that? Did they do that for us, Sean? I'm trying
Yeah.
to remember if the wax and the
Yeah,
ears.
so it was one and the other. So we were sitting on the left-hand side of the theater.
We are.
So we couldn't quite hear the other side, but I got what they were doing.
Dead center. Yeah.
It was
That's
cool.
where we're
It
sitting
was
at.
cool, too.
It was good.
So for the whole
It was
music,
like-
there's two moments there that I was like, that was it though. There was nothing more than that besides them taking Troy and then him stringing the bow in the very end. And out of Christopher Nolan's list of composers and soundtracks and music, I would say it's towards the bottom of his list. Like that's personally, I didn't get enough out of it. Yeah, it's not beating Inception, it's not beating Interstellar, it's not beating Oppenheimer. 10 years from now, it won't beat them. In my eyes, those are like fours. It's like you're good, but you're not going to beat them.
I agree with that. Well, one of the things about Christopher Nolan movies that I think is brilliant is the build. He builds a theme that he kind of through visual. He creates the theme, and the music follows, and it swells and it glows and it does all this stuff. And I felt like tonality, it just didn't hit for me. It was not my favorite score, and I love Ludwig Göransson. I think he's one of the most up-and-coming, he's fucking there, he's arrived. He's one of the best composers probably that's ever gone to screen, but I did not feel a cohesive theme that I could pick out and say, that's magic.
I'm gonna add to what you guys are saying. Going into this, and I don't try to do this with other scores, it's like, when I'm thinking about this movie, I'm thinking about this movie and the score, like I have its own relationship with this movie, just like in Oppenheimer and just like even Tenet, which has an amazing score. I try to put that out there because this is the character for this movie here. And what they really did really special is that they use a lot of old instruments, kind of like what you expect from that type of a world type of vibe, to fit the storyline of it. And I thought it did really well because it might not have been like, the greatest like Oppenheimer sound, but there was like 3 or 4 pieces that is just like almost a part of like Odysseus storyline that was the perfect fit, because you have like this epic hero-ness, vibe, but yet there was this painful thing at the same time.
I appreciate your love and for it. I guess I don't even remember the score. That's why it was so.
And I think maybe because I literally saw this like 12 hours ago, so that's why it's so fresh in my mind right now. So
opening day,
you're still living in the moment. So
I'm in the moment right now. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the action sequences, specifically the Cyclops scene, through the pig scene, through the siren scene, and then the giant
the Titans
scene.
The Giants. Were they cannibalism? Cannibals?
Giants. What the
those
fuck,
are the
dude?
four major. Those are the four major moments of action in the movie.
Were they?
And those are the 4 major moments, other than Troy. Those
No,
are
like
four
the Giants. Were they cannibals?
Well,
We
see,
didn't get it one way or
and
the
I mean,
other.
we could jump right there. One of my criticisms of the movie, and this is a product likely of Christopher Nolan not using any special effects, is that we really never got a good view of any of these beasts. Everything was kind of cut and hidden with shadow, and even the pig transformation scene, which I thought was the best scene in the movie, you didn't really get like the Thing total transformation of creature. It was in sharp cuts and angles and weird, like, grotesque movements.
I thought the cuts were very really excellent, because this is how I look at it. The not knowing of it kind of terrified me even more, because first of all, I don't know anything about the story. So when I'm seeing like the Cyclops and these giants and the witch turning the men to pigs, I'm like, holy shit, does this really fucking happen to you, Odysseus? Like, what the fuck? You're having the worst fucking week in your life. And so the imagination of like, I'm not knowing anything, and I'm like, wow. I mean, I thought it was very effective, especially like they're running away and you see like this giant human being behind you chasing you. There's a terrifying element to it that I thought that they really kind of spliced it up together with the editing stuff. I actually really enjoyed it.
Eddie,
so I appreciate that, because
sorry, I just got to clarify. Eddie's right. I'm wrong. They are cannibals, but we didn't get that.
A lot of people didn't know the story, right? So I grew up with Ulysses, the movie Ulysses, and that was one of the most terrifying fucking Cyclopses in the history of the world, because they use this forced perspective and claymation, and he just like came at you, and it was big and it was scary, and I was a kid. Obviously, I was a child when I'm watching these movies. So I always had this image of like, not this dumb creature, this beast, this flock person, but he trapped Odysseus in the cave. Like, he lured him in, and then Odysseus had to use his wits to get out of the cave. So I had certain expectations for how the scene was going to go, and it just didn't pay off like I expected. That doesn't mean it was bad. It just, he took it in a completely different way, and I can appreciate it.
So my idea was, I mean, this plays a lot into Zeus, right? You're breaking Zeus's laws, but then that means, hey, if you go into that, then you're playing Poseidon and Hades. So the whole idea with Odysseus is, with Cyclops, that is he the son of Poseidon?
He's the son of Poseidon, which creates the problems later.
So he creates the problems later on. So it would have been cool, something like that would have been cool.
Yeah. Like, Jeremiah, you said the dude's having a bad week. It all started because he hit the eye of the Cyclops. So that's literally
unnecessary.
The whole story. His unnecessary poking.
Who he was.
He's like, I'm not nobody. I'm Odysseus. And
here's, everybody's pissed about this, and I got to be honest, I'm furious about this. The nobody joke, pun, whatever we want to call it, the nobody portion of the Odyssey is I would probably argue the most well-known portion of the entire Odyssey story, with the exception of maybe stringing the bow and shooting the arrow through the axis. It's really important, and Nolan left it out, right? The whole idea is that he's clever, and that's the whole thing about Odysseus. I keep wanting to say Ulysses. That's the whole point about Odysseus, is that he is not really the best fighter. He is the most brilliant, smart human being, basically, that we could have asked for. And so he outsmarts and outtricks and outthinks every single situation, which is why everything comes down to the Cyclops. And he's brilliant, because he says that his name is Nobody. He has a conversation basically with the Cyclops, and he says that his name is Nobody. And so he stabs the eye out. And so there's other Cyclopes. There's actually their brothers, and I think there's two other ones. Anyway, so they hear their brother screaming, and they're like, what's wrong? What's going on? And he says, nobody's hurting me. Nobody's killing me. And that's how everybody's like, oh, whatever, no big deal, right? So they leave him alone, right? And so they all get free. They get away. And then all of a sudden, Odysseus is an asshole, because he's all about pride. He comes back and he screams out, my name's not Nobody. My name is Odysseus, king of Ithaca, blah, 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 blah. So at that point, we don't get this. We get this through kind of hearsay, but we don't get this. And it's a really important part that we should have gotten a little bit more focus on, is that the Cyclops goes and talks to his dad, Poseidon, the king of the sea. And that's the reason why he's like, you fucked up my son. I'm going to fuck up your life. And so he goes after Odysseus. If that hadn't happened, they would have sailed perfectly home. They probably would have pillaged and killed a bunch of people.
We're missing that particular scene here, because what I got from the story is that his soldiers were pissed off. You shot an arrow at him one more time, And then what I got is basically like, Poseidon. It's like we don't see Poseidon, but we see the force of nature that they cause him to like, not be able to get home and everything.
This is kind of where I come back to a narration. And if you had a little bit of like someone telling a story to a child, like John Leguizamo could have done it. No, but John Leguizamo, or the Bard should have done it the whole movie and not been in the movie for 5 minutes.
What's his name should have been the guy.
Yeah, and I would have liked the Bard. That would have been fine. He was the one who was hitting
Travis
the staff.
Scott. Yeah,
but
Travis Scott. Perfect for that.
Which,
yeah,
fine. But I guess my point is that he buried the predicate or the purpose for the troubles going home in nuance, and I don't feel like most people understood what the hell was going on. I don't think that they connected that Cyclops, son of Poseidon gets pissed off, creates the whirlpool, which sends them off course, which makes them go to the I think the pigs and the sirens, and then ultimately the giants, which the giants we got absolutely no explanation of what those people were other than they got chased out of the woods.
Each step was so fast, and it was like, all right, back on the boat. Like, let's spend another 10 minutes on the boat before we go to the next voyage adventure.
My question to you is that because of the character Odysseus that he doesn't really remember too much, and so that's why we're just pretty much getting it from his point of view of all the stories that he's putting back together and everything like that? Because when he's talking about it, it's coming from him, right?
But no, I think that's the excuse.
But
Christopher Nolan used. That's what Christopher
Nolan.
So
Nolan made it look like, okay, Odysseus is explaining what happened to his men, what happened, how he got there. Is that correct?
Kind of through memories with Calypso. Yes, I think that's pretty accurate. Yes.
Time out.
Yeah, well,
how did he leave Calypso? I'm trying to remember again.
Well, she lets him go. She realizes that he's
on a
raft.
That's what it was.
And lets him go. In the book or the poem, there's divine intervention. I think it was one of the gods comes down.
I want to say it was actually Athena. It was Athena. I think it was Athena.
It might have been Athena. It was a god or goddess comes down and talks to Calypso and is like, he kept him here for 7 years. Let him go home. At which point she's like, okay, I guess I'll do that. Right. So, but because Nolan, I think, wanted to stray or hold the line of not going into gods and divinity. He wants to keep it so human that he ends up missing the mark so much on a very, very God-based and goddess-based story, right? And without bringing those characters in, and because that's exactly what they are, they're characters. Without bringing those characters in, we lose the context and the purpose and the driving purpose for essentially every single character.
I enjoyed Zendaya's character. Like,
yeah, she was great.
Athena. Like, just I was like, okay, I got that real fast. He's like seeing her, and it's like a goddess that's coming to Odysseus, and like I was like, okay, that's dope. Like I got that right away. She's a god, and he's just like, why do gods talking like so like confusing terms? Could have brought somebody else in, and they miss those little moments with simple filling in stories. I don't know.
The challenge is that he's facing the temptations, and then you got the monsters in these movies, and then you got the magic here, and then you got the punishment. I thought that they really broke everything down in a 3-hour film. I do agree with Brandon that it would have been pretty awesome if you would have got the Odyssey 1 and Odyssey 2 to expand more of the whole legacy of it. But I thought they really kind of were able to put everything down on what you needed to know, what the character Odysseus had to really face all the challenges, and able to come back to the third part of the movie, which is him returning home here.
Which to me, this is to me, I don't know if you guys agree, but I think this is the best part of the movie.
I agree.
Where I mean, I think from the moment he leaves Calypso to to the end of the movie, I think is my favorite part, and it really does. In my humble opinion, it takes kind of a movie that was heading down and really elevates the quality, because I thought the Robert Pattinson character really was wonderful. I thought you had kind of the resolution, but also another twist, which is so Christopher Nolan. So what did you guys think? I mean, Jeremiah, I'm curious, because you watch a ton of movies and kind of the logos for all the studios. Do you ever wonder where that image of the bow and arrow going through
blew my fucking mind? It blew my fucking mind, dude. I could have put two together. Like, Hannah, we're driving home. She showed me, like, you remember this movie trailer? I'm like, oh my God, that makes sense now. So yes, blew my mind.
So Jeremiah, I know you don't like movies like, I don't know if you'll like the movie, but you really should watch Ulysses, because it's really quite okay. Good.
Totally
so
down.
Get to the end of the movie. Let's talk about the end of the movie. Eddie, obviously the bowstring, everything that happened. What are your thoughts?
It was set up perfectly with Tom Holland and Odysseus, and you get this idea of, hey, let's lock the doors and I'll handle the rest from, Odysseus. Like, he's like, fuck, bro, like, you really gonna do this? That's legit, that's badass. And then you get the idea of like, he has a certain way to do his bow and he remembers it. It's almost like he has to like warm up the wood a little bit. Like, so I remember somebody said that, like, oh, it's been lying around. I think Travis Scott said it. Hey, let's like warm it up a little bit, and you have to bend it. And I read somewhere where like bows back in the day, they were backwards, and if you unbow them, you have to like put them back into shape. So it was like no one was gonna be able. No one was gonna be able to grasp that knowledge of like how he has his own bow a certain way. So he had to like stretch it out a little bit. So the first round he stretched it out, and then he flipped it.
Excalibur comes from.
Like, very badass. It was beautiful. I enjoyed everyone starting to bow. Like midway, like, fuck this shit, I'm bowing.
Yeah. Like, I'm done. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah. The moment that he did the final bow and he did the dum, and then you see Anne Hathaway's character like, shit, Poppy's home. Like, and it was badass. It was a good moment. I love that moment. That was a badass scene.
Poppy's home. I love that.
Poppy's home. Daddy's home.
I thought that for a very long and drawn out journey, which was not long and drawn out enough, which I know is contradictory, but that's exactly how I feel about this movie. The ending was a beautiful summation of what needed to happen, right? The violence was there. The action was there. I'll be the first one, though, to say that this does not warrant an R rating. This is PG-13 violence. I mean, if we're going to go for it, fucking let's go for it. I want to see some Game of Thrones.
I think it was the Cyclops eating. I think it was the Cyclops eating the people and having their body parts fall out of their mouth. I think that was.
Go check out.
That was pretty good.
Go check out. By the way, that was actually one of my favorite parts, and you got to be an artsy nerd to really get it. But that is a Goya painting. Just go check it out. But going back to the end, it was beautiful. The dong was great. The shot of the arrow was beautiful. The fact that you see the realization of Robert Pattinson's character and that he tried.
That was great.
That it's locked down. I thought it was all beautiful. I thought that the story crescendoing with Penelope and Odysseus's conversation was a beautifully muted moment in a movie that felt rushed. And I thought that that's exactly what this movie needed more of, is the soft calm within the storm.
Mm-hmm.
So all that to say, I love the ending. In the original text, he doesn't go off,
Should he have died?
He stays in king. He's king.
He stays home. He becomes king.
He's king, yeah.
But should he have died? Would it have changed it better if he would have died? Him like explaining the boat ride going west to like for his fallen heroes. It would have been cool if that would have been like some type of like, hey, he died and this is him thinking this, right? I don't know. It would have been a different thought of it, but him surviving all those stab wounds is like, okay, like, yeah, it's a happy ending.
In all fairness, to Brandon's point, the story is thousands of years old. So
no, honestly though, I think it would have been a great Hollywoodized story 2,800 years ago if he had died and Telemachus ascended into the kingship. I think it would have been great. It would have been one of those cheap City of Angels type cheap, kind of moments though. Is like,
yes,
he spent 20 years coming home and all he got was 12 seconds with his wife. It sucks, but gosh darn it.
That's all he needed.
Remember, Odysseus is supposed to be a shitty individual that we're supposed to learn from and say, we shouldn't be like you. And in him dying in the end, it would have been the ultimate like, oh yeah, we shouldn't do what he does.
Yeah, except for that defeats the purpose of redemption. Jeremiah, I know you.
So that's why he puts himself in exile. Okay.
Yeah, I see you over there just stirring up.
This whole point at the end of the movie, I had no idea what the fuck where it was gonna go. Like, oh my god, is he going to say who he is? What's going on here? Wait, the dog wag. I was just like losing my shit. Okay. Say who you are. You're Odysseus. I'm like, what the fuck? Why are you being like, Assassin's Creed here? Like, why are you hiding in the fucking darkness? Getting all pissed off here and shit. And I couldn't figure it out. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen here,
Good game.
And that scene between him and Anne Hathaway, tears will come my eyes because we finally get his point of view of the Trojan horse. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm crying my eyes out. So I'm like, great, he's going to die or something like that. And then we finally get the last part of like the test. And I'm like, he's going to show up. And when he bends that arrow and you see Robert Pattinson slamming away like a little bitch he is in this movie. And I'm like, fuck, yo. And then his buddy, kid you not, when that guy got shot in the arrow in the neck, I'm like, oh shit. I just wasn't expecting that. And then he becomes John Wick. gets revenge on his fucking dog, and he fucks people up, dude. And I thought he was gonna die. I literally thought he was gonna die. I'm like, oh, okay.
Timur, I was so pissed off because I'm like, well, there goes Temelicus, or God, Temelicus. I'm sorry. There goes Tom Holland. He got stabbed. There goes, Odysseus. He's got arrows in his neck and shit, and he's gonna die. And I guess what really bothered me is, and I was corrected on this one, is I did not understand why he hid himself. I didn't understand why he just didn't say, hey, fuck you, I'm king, get out of my house. And it's the shame. And this is why I don't think he should have died. And this is why I think this story is so important. And is he was able to, what's the word I'm looking for, Brandon? Recover. He was able to
redemption,
redeem himself, reconcile, redeem, redemption. So he had redemption in the fact that he had broken Zeus's law. He had lied to get the Trojan horse into Troy. He basically killed they killed Athena, the innocent. He carried it with him, went through 10 years or 17 years of trials and tribulations to get home, and now he's in the place where he was king, and now he's going to break Zeus's law one more time because these people are essentially breaking Zeus's law by taking an advantage of Penelope and Temelicus. God dang it, I did it again. What's his name?
Telemachus. Calculus.
Temelicus.
Calculus.
Tom Holland.
Anyway, Samsonite. So I'm pretty close.
So that's, I mean, I didn't understand that he didn't want Tom Holland to fight the battle in the room because he needed Tom Holland to be pure and not break Zeus's law so that he could ascend to the throne of Ithaca, which was the whole point. He was protecting his son.
Well, and he ended up killing one person.
Well, but he killed someone who was being shitty. That guy was the shitty guy.
They're all being shitty. All the suitors. Anyway, God, they're all trying to soup up on Anne Hathaway.
Once I understood that he was trying to preserve the innocence of his son, and he was trying to be honorable, and in doing so redeemed himself in the eyes of, because at the end of it, you have this kind of this handoff of Athena to Penelope, and I don't know if anybody else felt that, like he had been carrying Athena the whole time, and finally he was able to give himself back to Penelope and redeem himself. And I think that killing him at that point would be kind of contrary to the fable of, well, it's like the whole point of the story is that we have trials and tribulations, we pay for our actions, but there's redemption at the end. And the redemption, if you kill him, it doesn't reward the reader. So I think that I would, or the listener or the moviegoer, I liked the reward. I liked the little twist ending. So I think we've successfully beat this Trojan horse to death here.
It was a 3-hour movie.
It was a 3-hour movie. Listeners, that brings us to the end of a review. Now, Mr. Nobody, can you please take us through our scales so each of the hosts can give a movie rating here?
Nobody is gonna give these scores. 0, the perfect film. 1, a feel-good first cocktail. 2, a happy buzz. 3, you're gonna Uber lifting home. 4, rough morning walk of shame. 5, blackout, shit-faced spring break drunk.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
3, 2, 1. Okay.
Who wants to take this?
I'll go first.
All right. Let's have Eddie go first.
So Matt Damon, I think he's an amazing actor. But what makes Oppenheimer, Prestige, Inception, like I don't see him better than Leo Murphy and Christian Bale. Like I don't. And this is when push comes to shove, I feel like those guys are better. And it comes out to the very last, like, hey, they're just a little bit better actors, and that's why in my eyes it's a better ending performance overall. It's an amazing movie. I do feel like it's a lot of hype behind this movie. And hey, now Christopher Nolan, if his name's on it, it's gonna get already $1 billion. Just his name's on it. And he's made so much money. He's an amazing director. It's an amazing movie. I think everyone does phenomenal in this. I just wanted more storylines that they skipped. I feel like I had too many questions. I felt like they rushed through some of these other stories with like the I thought they were the Titans, but I guess they were just giant people. Also with the Cyclops, there was just so many great stories, and I feel like they rushed it to go ahead to go back on the boat, and then the Sirens would have been cool to go dive a little bit more into, get closer. I don't know, like I had no idea who the Sirens were until I had to look it up. Also, so it's just like there were so many questions I had about this, and it's a great story, it's a great movie. I don't think it's his best. So I think it's, in my eyes, if I had to grade it on the scale, I think it's like an A-, B+ movie, something around there. Like, I think it's a great movie, and it'll probably get better with age, but I give this a 1.25. This is a feel-good first cocktail with a half a shot. Who's next?
Okay. Yeah, I'll take it. So just for you to know, the Titans were actually the first generation of gods in Greek mythology, and they are the parents of the Zeus and Hera generation. So all that being said, I'm going to take this quick.
Yes, the Titans. I thought the Titans were in
Virginia.
Didn't they kill the Titans and put them in the hole?
The cages. Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Lord,
Didn't they?
yes.
Yeah, I mean, they.
Yeah.
Well, no, I've watched Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief.
There's also the movie Immortals. Immortals also had that with Orlando
Kronos.
Bloom.
Yes. Yeah, I thought Kronos. Kronos was.
Yes.
Anyway,
which is the Goya painting is Kronos eating his children, and Zeus took an overthrow and basically defeated all of his parents and aunts and uncles, and took the.
All right, continue. I apologize. Go ahead.
No, that's okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna be quick with this one. This was not the movie that I was hoping for, because I wanted to see something that I'd never seen before, because I think that's what Christopher Nolan does. It's still not a bad movie because it's well acted, it's well directed, the practical effects are fantastic, and so we got to give a tip of the cap for that. My argument here is that this is not something I have never seen before. I've seen this a bunch of times, and in fact I think it's been done just as well, if not maybe a little bit better, in even movies like, God forbid, Troy, or my score is the 1997 TV version of this. And so I'm giving this a 1.97. I still love Christopher Nolan. I think that Matt Damon is a hell of an actor. I think that all the actors and actresses in here deserve bundles of praise. At the same time, this just didn't hit me where I needed it to hit me, and for that I'm giving it a 1.9. Sean, we're going to go to you so that we can end on a positive note.
Yeah. So I thought, first of all, I thought this movie was fantastic, but for like three things. And I don't even think we covered most of them, which is the use of mommy and daddy and dad and mom. In tennis, it's an unforced error. I don't even mind them using the word fucking when he's talking about the beach. We've been on this beach for 10 fucking years. Let's go home. That didn't bother me, but the mommy and daddy took me out of the story. I'm sorry. The second part that took me out was Paige. Wish that they had put Paige in a different role, not that one. And it took me out of the movie. I didn't like the whole dynamic of it. I didn't understand where the character was going, and what.
No idea who they were when they showed up. No idea who it was.
Yeah, it's just it was really hard
Paige?
for me to follow, and Paige really, to me, could have played 5 other characters in the movie, and it wouldn't have bothered me. But the one character that they chose, didn't like. Other than that, I thought everybody was good. We didn't really talk about Lupita Nyong'o, who I thought did a very nice job as Helen of Troy. I thought she was beautiful and aggressive and kind of different take on her. I really liked that. Other than those 3 things, which I think are 2 things, I think the movie was very good. It missed for me a little bit, but overall I thought it was very good. I mean, for me it's a 1.5, a feel good first cocktail with an extra shot. By no means is this his best movie. I think it's better, maybe equivalent to Tenet. So it doesn't crack my top 5. We did the top 5 or top 6. It still doesn't crack my top 6, but better than some, but not as good as others. That's where I have it. 1.5. Jeremiah?
What's really cool about this movie is that it feels like it is tied to Troy in a lot of ways, because when the movie Troy came out, Christopher Nolan was actually tagged to actually direct that movie. And for whatever reason, he got pushed over, got dropped away, because I don't think it was he had enough experience to do this. And so they gave him Batman Begins. And you kind of wonder like what path he would have gone if, he did Troy and he didn't have the necessary means, what he wanted to do, and it falls apart. And we never would have got this amazing type of ride that he's been going on since then. So it's kind of interesting that it comes down to this movie here, which is the Odyssey. And I have to be honest with you, man. I just saw this movie like 12 or 13 hours ago. The way it's meant to be seen from the director's point of view. And this might be one of the best large scale, cinematic storytelling I've ever seen, man. Just how it was displayed and everything like that, dude. I mean, seriously, I don't know how he does it, but it seems like he's able to deliver a product that you're going to remember for a long time. The groundbreaking visuals that he's providing, and I thought the performance was fantastic. Matt Damon, man, fuck, dude, he owned this movie, man. every actor in this movie owned their parts, you know? I have no idea what the Odyssey is. So I'm coming into something fresh and new here. So I'm like, wow, this is fucking amazing, you know? I'm like losing my mind left and right here. I mean, especially in the third act, we see the horror and the regret from Odysseus, and then you see his redemption. Just tears were coming in my eyes, and I just couldn't like hold my emotions because I felt it during that whole part right there. And then when I left that theater, I told Hannah, like, this is the exact same feeling that I felt when I left Project Hail Mary. It's the same feeling I had where I'm like, I'm so thankful that I got to see this movie, so thankful that I got to experience this movie, and so thankful that I got to be a part of this in my life with you in this movie. Dude, it just felt like I could walk on water here after I watched this movie. So that's why the reason why I'm giving it a 0, because it's the experience that I haven't had this whole summer, that thing where you're just like, I am so happy that I got to see this shit, you know, to experience this in my lifetime. So that's why it's a 0, man. I actually thought it was something quite epic. Is it his best movie? No, by a long shot. But maybe down the road, it might actually get there. I think this is the movie that you might watch it once or twice or 3 times. The experience, it might come to you later on here. And that's just how I feel about this.
So, and let me just say that half of movie going is the experience and where you were when you saw it, and the going to the theaters and experiencing this type of cinema is a treat. I mean, this is the first film shot on 70 millimeter, and Jeremiah actually got to see it as it was shot, as it was intended to be. I mean, I think there's something to be said about that. There's only 42 theaters in the entire United States that could have shown this movie, and I think that's cool. That's an experience in and of itself. So I think that's important. So
Jared,
when you take those scores and divide by 4, what does
Jared didn't give us his official
0?
score.
He gave a 0.
He didn't say 0.
I give it a 0.
He did. He gave it 0. That's why I gave it 0.
Say it.
Sorry.
Roll back
He
the
did.
tape. Roll back the tape. He said.
Roll it back. Sean and I got it.
All right, when you take those 4 scores and divide by 4, what does the Odyssey get an average rating of there? Nobody?
Nobody's going to give this score. And I appreciate all these scores. They comes out to a really good score, I think. It's a 1.18. A 1.18.
So when we look at our movies that we've reviewed, Eddie, where do you or nobody? Where do you think that lands?
Yeah,
Can you give me
1
second here? I have a new formula over here that's going to change everything. So
Nice.
give me 1 second here.
A new spreadsheet?
You guys kind of really broke down about the spreadsheet, you know, like, well, what's the movie actually ranked and what's the actual rank. So we're going to get the actual rank here of the reviews here. So we're going to be 100% legit on this shit. So let me actually put this here, by the way.
So do our
Get this
zeros
here.
all count as then different numbers than 1?
No, they should all count as
we've
one.
got
They all count as 1. They all count as 1. You're absolutely right.
So every movie that shares a score is now a single digit on the, as opposed to, alphabetical order. Knowing the change, Eddie, we've altered the way the scoring. Where do you think it lands on the list?
49.
That's way too high. Brandon, excuse me.
Okay, I'm gonna go with 20 flat.
1.1. I'm gonna go with 17.
You guys were all low. You guys need to be higher.
So I win.
It's number 42.
So Ed, you win no matter what, because me and Brandon weren't even close. So we'll just call it a W, close. Okay? Number 42 on the ranked list. So it's our 42nd best movie. That's basically
what's above it and below it.
Okay, what's above this movie is Dr. Sleep, Deadpool, Wolverine, Dances with Wolves, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Scream, the original one, Super Mario Brothers, Jaws.
Those are better scores.
Okay, I was taking.
And what's worse than the Odyssey?
So what's worse than the Odyssey? Clue, Werewolf by Night, Saturday Night, Ferris Bueller Day Off, Alien. That's where we're at.
What was the Saturday Night one?
Saturday Night Live
was the SNL one.
Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, it was called Saturday Night. So, all right. Well, let us know in the comments whether you think that we've scored this one correctly. We'd love to know your input.
I like where it's at.
I like where it's at. I think, well, as I say almost every week, it's where it should be. So it's okay. We're excited to bring you another season. And, this season we've really gotten back into theaters, which is fun. We're going to do that, I think, a couple of more times this season, especially with Spider-Man Brand New Day. that the new one? Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
coming up at the end of the month. But we're really excited. Thank you so much for tuning into season 7. And those of you who listen week after week, thank you so much for tuning in. This season, we've really made a push for our social media and our viewership numbers, and the response has been incredible. You guys have been great. You've been flooding our Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. You've been ringing that bell and subscribing on YouTube, and y'all have been listening because our numbers keep going up, and we thank you so freaking much. Our handle at the Gentleman Podcast. The dot means a lot. Find us anywhere. And once again, tell anybody you know about our podcast. We appreciate all of you, and we'll see you next week for another release. Cheers, gentlemen.
Peace out, yo.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Don't break Zeus's law.